Hello, and welcome to the Lightworker Diaries, a space for reflection, truth-telling, and soulful remembering. My name is Tiffany, and I am a truth teller, a mystic, and a mirror. These are transmissions from my heart to yours, an archive of channeled wisdom, lived stories, and the real work of becoming. May something in here stir something in you. Hello, my friend. If you tuned in last week, you know that there is something that's been unfolding within me. And I know that I'm not the only one who is experiencing this identity shift in the making. Many of us are closing out this 2025 numerology 9-year with a final clearing of what is no longer going to join us in the numerology 10 or 1 year that is coming for 2026. And I want to share a little bit of the behind the scenes, especially for those of you who might be in this threshold where your dream is bigger than you. This is a scary time when you suddenly have a dream that's so big that it's asking you to do things that you haven't done before, which is why I want to have you walk alongside me for this episode. Because perhaps there is a glimmer of wisdom, a morsel of truth, or even a permission slip, something that will give you what you need to take that bold step forward into this new year. So let's begin with where I've been, in case this is the first time you're joining me. About 2 months ago, I wound down a leadership position within a fractional accounting firm. It's a firm that I had worked for 4 years, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the mission. I loved the people. There were moments where I didn't love the work, but I learned a lot. And before that, for about 4 years, I was a life coach, and I was hosting events, gatherings, retreats, and coaching women, particularly around intuitive development, but also just coming into their own unique truth. My journey over the last 4 years felt like I was giving up on that spiritual mission to help women. And that's not where my journey began. In case you didn't already know this, I started out as a certified public accountant working as an auditor for the first 15 years of my career. I went to school for accounting. I did the certifications. I did all of the things. I worked my way up the ladder. I learned a lot. And then I felt this awakening that there was something more that I was meant to be bringing into this world. And that awakening started about 9 years ago now. And I have felt that heart pull ever since then. And for the longest time, I thought my mission was going to be something along the lines of the spiritual work that I had been doing before I took my last job. I thought for sure it was going to be coaching and spiritual teaching and intuition. And I was really excited about that. And the interesting thing, when I left my last job, I had this sense again of I'm going to be this creative entrepreneur, maybe this coach, and, doing something that was very spiritual. And in these last couple months where I've given myself the space to just be without pressure to perform, without pressure to prove, without pressure to please, something else has bubbled to the surface. And it's something that, to be quite honest, when it first came up, I was really upset about. I mentioned in the episode last week where I was surrendering to this divine idea that was coming through me. And over this last week, I have been sitting in the space of being the note taker of this idea. I literally just have opened myself up to receive this idea in its entirety. And I am taking mad notes, getting it all down on paper because it is such a crystal clear vision. The idea itself required an ego death because it's going back to accounting. And there is a part of me that is I don't ever want to do accounting again. And I had to get through that resistance to see this opportunity from a different perspective. And as I did that, I got really, really excited about it. When it first showed up, I was heartbroken because in my mind, I was thinking I had to go back to this very stereotypical accounting, being a doer in a firm. And I was like, "Ugh, I just don't want to do that anymore." And the more that I sat with the idea, the more I allowed the information to come into my awareness, the more I let myself realize I didn't have to do what I've done before, that I get to build it differently. Then suddenly the aliveness, the excitement, and the me that has been desiring to lead came to the forefront. So if you're having a moment like me where you're like, man, I wish my mission was cooler or more magical or more glamorous, maybe there's a little bit of story to rewrite there. Maybe there's a belief to shift, a perspective to change, because what I'm creating is so me that I'm thrilled about it. And I'm not having to do accounting because I'm going to have people working for me who love accounting. And so this kind of goes back to that top of the episode. You might have a dream that's going to require support. You might have a dream that is so big, it wants other people to walk that path with you. And sometimes the thing that you have studied and you know super, super well, but you don't want to be doing is your opportunity to be a steward for the idea and support people who love that in becoming the best at it. And so how that is working for me is, like I said, I'm going back into accounting. When I surrendered and said, I give up, show me the way, the universe brought back with clear certainty that accounting is still my path. But it's not accounting in the traditional sense. I have studied money in all of its forms and practicality. As I mentioned, I started in school. I was all in for accounting. Bachelor's, master's, accounting degree, certified public accountant. I went into audit, which allowed me to work with multiple companies, learn as quickly as you possibly can in the accounting industry, touching everything from the view of absolute compliance. It's the fire hose of accounting. And I did that. And then I got to this point where my body could no longer keep up. I was burnt out at a level that I'm not even going to talk about here, because if you know, and you get it. I left. I went into a global public company, learned a lot there, decided it wasn't for me. I went and worked for a startup company, learned a lot there. Then I had this awakening that said I'm meant to do something more. And I stepped into life coaching, which I thought was just this career change of a lifetime. I thought it was the thing I was going to and would never come back. I proceeded to learn about entrepreneurship from the lens of being an entrepreneur. Life coaching was exactly what I needed to begin hearing myself. I then got burnt out on that because I didn't have the energy to do certain parts of my business consistently, and I was scared. I was honestly scared. And so there were certain things that I wasn't doing out of fear. And those were things that were important to the lifeblood of my business, which was cash. So as my cash ran out, I realized I had to go do something different. And honestly, that was a divine intervention, because if I wouldn't have gone back into the corporate working environment, I wouldn't be who I am now. I stepped into a fractional accounting firm doing fractional accounting for small businesses. I loved the fast pace. I learned a lot about entrepreneurship. I was able to learn sales, practice sales, which is something I wasn't doing before very well. I learned leadership. I learned team management, project management, automation, software, process, network. I mean, you name it, I had my hands in it. And I did that for 4 years. And then that voice came knocking again that said, it's time to do something more. And I followed it. I followed it thinking that I was going to be a writer. I followed it thinking I was going to be a creative. I thought I was following it to go back into a less stressful workspace where I would get to be my entire self. And as the burnout of that job kind of wore down, I began to see with much more clarity what I am meant to do. So this accounting firm that I'm going to say being asked to create, but I know my soul chose this before I even came into this lifetime. Otherwise, I wouldn't have everything from money energetics and frequency and manifestation to money practicality, accounting, and cash flow. I wouldn't have that perfect combination of experience to do what I'm about to do if this wasn't designed specifically for me. And the thing that has been part of that ego death too, that realizing I wasn't meant to be the coach or the writer that I thought I was meant to be, part of this is also realizing that I don't have to be an accountant to run an accounting firm that is doing work differently. And I say that because it has come through so clearly, and this is the only way that I will do it this way. And also the reason why I couldn't continue at the previous job, because this wasn't the vision for that company either. I am a CEO for service-based founders who are soul-led and want to be the financial stewards of their business so their mission-driven business lasts a lifetime and maybe even more. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I just have this thing in my heart that I know I'm meant to be doing, you know, just like me, that that's not a flash in the pan moment. This isn't something you're just going to do for a couple years and then opt out. You're going to build a business that you truly love, sit in the seat that is right for you, be supported by people who love what they're doing, and make a huge impact. You know that to be true. And there is a identity shift that happens when you go from being in the business to leading the business. There's a difference. And I had to go through that shift for myself, even though I have been a director of operations, even though I have completely run a $2.5 million business, even sitting in the CEO seat while the CEO took a 6-week sabbatical. Even though I have done it all, it is different when you own the seat. It is different when you are the CEO and the decisions are your vision in reality. It's just different, and you know that. And there comes a time where you've been in the work for so long that you have to shift into that CEO visionary seat, and it takes a minute. It's a change. Managing people, being supported by people, stepping into a different role where you're trusting those around you to hold the vision the same way you do, that is a practice. And so I share that with you because part of what I started building when I started building this vision and receiving this vision was thinking that I would have to be in all the seats. And so I was building them in a way that would make them a good fit for me. I'm going to tell you right now, there are very, very few individuals who can run multi-million-dollar businesses. And those individuals are running ragged or brilliantly automated. If your vision is big, it's big because there are other people who want to do it with you. Your vision is big because it's not meant to be built alone. When I started backing out of me having to do the accounting and imagining people who love the accounting being in the accounting and me being in the visionary seat doing the part that I love, the excitement was palpable. Not everybody is meant to be a CEO, but if you're listening to this, you might be. And hiring your first person is going to be scary if you've never done it before. It's also going to be a massive relief when you let the tasks that drain you be delegated to someone who loves them. I will say, I was hesitant to share anything about what is coming for the accounting firm because I don't have anything to share with you yet. That's another thing that is happening differently this time around. I am an ideas person. I love ideas and I take action on them quickly. But I have done a ton of trust, safety, and abundance work. And with that as my new foundation, I'm building this at the pace it wants to go. Because I don't want a firm that runs like it's sprinting a marathon. It's unsustainable. I want a business that you walk in and feel the stability, that you walk in and energetically, you know you're held. You don't build that by slapping a bunch of stuff together and getting out there and just throwing it up. Hustle doesn't build stability. Softness does. Presence does. Letting the idea fully develop and land does. An embodied idea is unwavering. And you'll feel that. You'll feel that. I'm building it this way because this is as enjoyable as the end result will be. Every step of the way, I'm learning a little bit more about myself, about this idea, about the people who will come to support me and you in this process. I'm seeing this vision literally manifest in front of me with such tangibility. I already know its success is inevitable. Slowing down and letting it fully land is going to be a game changer. There will still be shifts. There will still be changes. There will still be things that I put out there that will fall flat. That is an inevitable part of being a business and an entrepreneur. However, the clarity in which I see this being knows that it will last through any waves of emotional, physical, and mental chaos that I need to paddle through to get to the deep water. So in closing, I just want to share with you that wherever you are in your journey, just know that it's safe to slow down and let your ideas reveal themselves to you in their totality. It may require you to change the way you think about certain things. It may require you to change the way you do certain things, but you're ready. This idea came to you bigger than life because it knows this is exactly what you wished for and exactly what your soul signed up for coming into this lifetime. You have a mission. That mission is meant to last. And this is how we do it. One beautiful, slow, trusted step at a time. Thank you for listening to the Lightworker Diaries. If something stirred in you today, take a breath and let it land. To go deeper, you can subscribe to the written diaries on Substack. You'll find a link in the show notes. Until next time, be true to you.